Alright, this last example is actually pretty interesting. It uses a skill that you spend a lot of time with exploring and learning in the next chapter. So think of this problem as kind of like a precursor to what you're eventually going to learn. But it shows you a really cool calculator trick that we'll do a lot with later on, but we're going to use it in this problem to do what it's asking us to do. So we have a line that passes through the intersection of two other lines. This one here, negative 2x plus 2, and this one here, x minus 7. That line also has a slope of negative 1/5. And our goal is to write the equation in slope point form. So if that seemed really muddled and confusing, maybe just let me draw a diagram here of what's happening. So negative 2x plus 2 would look something like this. And x minus 7 would look something like this. This isn't exact, but it's just an approximation. And our line that we're writing the equation of, I'll draw it in green here, it crosses through this point here where the two red lines cross. Okay, and it has a slope of negative 1/5. So that will look something like this. Again, this is not an exact drawing, but it just hopefully gives you an idea of what's going on here. The first red line I drew was y equals negative 2x plus 2. The second line I drew was y equals x minus 7. And this green line, well, we don't know what the equation is, right? But we want to write it in slope point form. So again, to do that, we need the slope and a point on that line. Well, we already have the slope, that's nice. And the point that we're going to use is the intersection of these two red lines. Now to find that intersection, we're going to do a cool trick here. If you take your calculator, I'm going to show you how to find the intersection of those two red lines. Okay, so turn your calculator on. Oh, my background just changed. Go to y equals and put in those two equations that we're trying to find the intersection point of. So that would be negative 2x plus 2. And if you hit down for the second equation, the other one was x minus 7. Alright? So negative 2x plus 2 and x minus 7. To get a nice standard window setting, just press zoom 6. And there we have something that kind of looked like what I had drawn just a few minutes ago. You can see that this is negative 2x plus 2 right here. And this one is x minus 7. And they're crossing at this point. And the line that we want to find the equation of will come from somewhere over here. And it'll have a slope of negative 1/5. And it'll cross right through that point. So our goal right now is to find that point. So here's something cool that you can do with your calculator. You can tell your calculator to find that intersection point. Here's how you do that. You see this word calc right above the word trace. To access that function, we have to press second. You'll notice the second button is yellow and so is calc. So press second, then calc or trace. And it brings up this window. Which of these do you think would allow you to find the intersection of two lines? Probably number 5, intersect. So you can either press 5 or you can just go down and press enter. And then the calculator asks you a series of questions. The first of which is first curve, meaning what is the first line that you want to find the what is the first line involved in the intersection? Okay, well, that would be this one. And the cursor is on that line, so we press enter. Good. The second curve, well, that's this line. So press enter again. Then it asks to guess, and what your calculator here is asking you is if it has, I guess, permission to approximate that intersection point. It does it with a fairly high degree of accuracy. It's not perfect all the time, but usually it's pretty spot on. So you just press enter. Okay? So all we've done is we pressed enter 3 times, if that didn't make sense. And here's our intersection point, 3, -4. So let's go back and use that point, 3, -4, to calculate the equation of our line. Alright, so the point of intersection that we found was, let me just draw it here, it was 3, -4. So now we have enough information to write the equation of the line in slope point form. Right? We have the slope, and we have a point on that line. So now it's just a matter of doing what we've been doing all along. So here's the general equation for slope point form, and we just plug in all the necessary details. So y1 would be -4, so that would be y plus 4, minus -4 is plus 4. M is -1/5. X minus the x value of the point 3, and there we go. Okay. If we wanted to convert this into slope-intercept form so that we can graph it, we can just do a quick test to make sure that this line actually goes through that point, right? Because maybe we made an error here, and it would be helpful if we could graph that green line and watch it go through the intersection of those other 2 lines. So let's put this in a slope-intercept form. So I'll bring the 4 over. So that's -4. This does not look like a 3. Then I'll multiply in the -1/5. So actually, just to make the math a little easier, I'm just going to make that -0.2. So that gives -0.2x plus 0.6 minus 4, -0.2x, and 0.6 minus 4 is -3.4. Alright, so let's take this equation now, graph it, and see if it actually goes through the intersection of those 2 points. And if it does, we know that we're probably correct. Okay, so we're back to our calculator here. And here's the intersection again, 3, -4. We're going to put in our third line, the equation of the line we were actually trying to find. That was -0.2 x minus 3.4. And we're going to see if that line crosses our intersection point. So we graph that. Look at that, it does. Okay, so we can say with a pretty high degree of certainty that we were correct. Our line has a slope of -1/2, or sorry, -1/5, or -0.2, and it goes through the intersection of these 2 lines, which we found to be 3, -4.